Jay Cutler will put it in play. Of course, Cutler, part of a blockbuster trade during the offseason, coming over from Denver, has thrown for better than 3,000 yards. Only the fifth Chicago quarterback to ever do that. But the 22 interceptions, a league high. Cutler to throw on first down. And the catch is made, and still on his feet out across the 40 to the 45 all the way to midfield is Earl Bennett, a second-year wide receiver out of Vanderbilt. That's his 47th reception of the season.
We've seen a lot of this type of play out of the Chicago Bears. Jay Cutler trying to get the ball out of his hand very quickly. You can see Bennett on the outside right here. Comes back with that little one-step quick screen. Get the tight end in the tackle. Then just a nice job cutting, getting back to the outside. You always want a guy on a screen pass to get back to the outside away from the oncoming defense.
A 30-yard gain on the first play from scrimmage. And a minimal gain on first down. A 2-yard catch by Devin Aromashadu, who had the big game last weekend in the loss to Green Bay. Matt Forte is closing in on 700 yards rushing this season. Aromashadu, an outstanding game last week. A career-high 8 receptions, 76 yards. Again, Chris Williams has started left tackle. Orlando Pace out with an injured groin. And again, starting on the right tackle position is Kevin Schaefer. Blitz coming. Incomplete, and very close to a 23rd interception thrown this year by Jay Cutler. Defensively for the Ravens, not quite the unit they've been in years past, but still rock solid. Donnell Ellerbe gets a start for the injured Tavares Gooden at linebacker, and again in the secondary, no Ed Reed. Reed has been bothered with a hip injury along with an ankle injury. So the Chicago native Zibikowski out of Notre Dame gets a start again at safety. He's had interceptions playing in place of Reed in each of the last 2 weeks. There is the 23rd interception thrown by Cutler. Dominique Foxworth at the 48-yard line. Not the kind of start, again, the Cutler and the Bears were looking for. And led Baltimore to the AFC Championship game. If you include the playoffs, the Ravens have won 20 of the 32 games that Flacco has started. Very impressive. Tight end Todd Heap in motion. They give it to Ray Rice. And the second-year back out of Rutgers runs for 8. A 3rd and short upcoming for Baltimore. Talk about the Ravens in the backfield, Rice and McClain. McClain, a Pro Bowler a season ago. Demetrius Williams starts in place of the injured Mark Clayton. And again, it's Michael Orr moving over to the left side, replacing the injured Jared Gator. And there's Rice. Inside the 20, down to the 14. What a phenomenal year Ray Rice is having for these Ravens.
This is just a counter play by the Baltimore Ravens, and the Chicago Bears have packed this box with as many people as they can, but a great job of down kick out, and then now Ray Rice in the open field. His size, his speed, his power really jumps out at you when you get a chance to see him play.
Rice will get it again for a gain of 1. Let's send it back to Los Angeles. Game break time. Here's Kurt Menefee.
And a couple of good finishes. Detroit and Arizona tied at 24, but Anquan Bolden scores from 5 yards out with less than 2 minutes to go. The Cardinals win it 31-24. Then in overtime, Tennessee's Rob Barones, good from 46 yards out. They win over the Dolphins 27-24 in OT. Tom.
Of course, that's good news for these Ravens fans with Miami going down. Better news, a touchdown pass to Heath.
This is the biggest dump of snow I can remember.
So now Cutler and the Bears, second possession. This time they get it trailing by a touchdown. And on first down, Matt Forte out across the 40 up to the 42-yard line. Dropped there by Jared Johnson. You were talking about Johnson before the game. Now in his 7th year of Alabama. A 4th-round pick in 2003, overshadowed by so many great stars through the years, but a really good player.
I tell you what, you give me 11 Jared Johnsons, I'll beat you in whatever game you want to play. We'll do whatever you ask of him. He drops, he rushes. One of the smartest players I've ever been around.
Forte again on 2nd and 7. Picks up 2. A 3rd down upcoming. Some of the early games around the National Football League. How about that very first one? Atlanta today rallies late on the Tony Gonzalez touchdown reception to beat the Jets. The Jets were in a prime position to get even closer to the playoffs. And a moment ago, Turk told you about that Arizona win in the final 2 minutes at Detroit.
Well, and like you said, Tom, that Miami losing to Tennessee very much affects the playoff race for these Baltimore Ravens.
They run it on 3rd and 4 and will cash in with a first down as Forte crosses midfield and he's to the 49. Of course, a couple of other games played prior to this Sunday. Starting on Thursday night, again, more help for these Ravens when Peyton Manning threw the late touchdown pass, keeping the Colts unbeaten on the year. The other unbeaten roughed up last night at home. Drew Brees sacked 4 times as the Cowboys roll over the New Orleans Saints. Cutler on first down. Catch is made by Johnny Knox, the rookie, at the 35-yard line.
We're seeing a lot of movement by way of the secondary of the Baltimore Ravens. They wanted to give Jay Cutler a lot of different looks, already leading to 1 turnover by Cutler. They want him to have to think a lot and not be certain of what he sees down the field. Good news is that that's going to leave you some one-on-one matchups on the outside. Jay Cutler certainly capable of capitalizing on that.
Forte, good running room inside the 30, down to the 27-yard line. A gain of 8 for Matt Forte. Lovie Smith in his 6th season as head coach of the Bears, and there was a report a couple of days ago that he's going to be back for a 7th year. Regardless of the outcome over these final 3 games, he's won 50 while losing 43. And of course, John Harbaugh replaced Brian Billick here in Baltimore in his 2nd year. Took them to the AFC Championship game a season ago in a heart-stopping loss to the rival Pittsburgh Steelers. Very close to a first down carry for Matt Forte. He may be, well, they got a pretty good spot there. This appears to be good enough for a first down. Why have the Bears not run it as well this season, Coach?
You know, Forte is impressive. He had a great rookie season, better than 1,200 yards on the year. When you watch them play, their offensive line clearly in transition, not as physical as they have been. The thing that jumps out at me is their lack of their ability to get up to that 2nd level with the linebackers. They're not a very athletic line. They've got some good push. They've got definite first down here, but their ability to push the ball up the field and get to that 2nd level. You can see right here, this last place, that is not what a Lovie Smith coach team, that's not his intentions. That will be priority number 1 with Lovie Smith coming back going into next year.
And a good start for Forte, 5 carries, 21 yards. He'll get it his 6th time, and not much running room here. Got head on by Kelly Gregg, who has been the cornerstone of this Ravens defensive line since signing as a free agent 10 years ago. Missed all of last season after that microfracture knee surgery. Came off the great 2007 year and playing very well again.
No one tougher in the league than Kelly Gregg. Wrestles in the offseason. This was an Oklahoma State champion. Wrestles in the offseason to stay in shape.
Extra tight end checks in for Chicago. 8th play of this drive, 2nd and 8 to Forte. And read beautifully by Ladarius Webb, the rookie corner, getting his 4th start.
They're excited about this young player. Watch how quickly he transitions right here. They want to get one of those quick screens. We've already seen 2 of them. And right now he pulls the trigger, dips his shoulder underneath the receiver trying to block out. Good open field tackle. They are extremely excited about this rookie out of Nicholls State.
3rd and 9. They lay it off for the tight end, and Olsen is very close to a first down. Depending on the spot, he might be about a foot short. If he is short, if you're Lovie Smith, are you going on 4th down?
Why not? Why not? You're out of the playoffs. You want to find out about your team. That's the mantra you've been going out all week and saying, we're going to find out about ourselves. We're going to find out who can play. Take this momentum into next year. Absolutely, you go for it.
And they are. 6 of 15 on 4th down this season are the Chicago Bears. He appears to have enough. Needed to get just beyond the 15. And looks to be about a yard inside of that. It is a first down.
Now this we talked earlier about. They've got to run the ball better. This is a great opportunity to shove the ball into the end zone, running the ball. But you know what? The Ravens know that too. And I think they're going to present Jay Cutler with an opportunity with some one-on-one matchups with maybe a play fake and a shot to the end zone if they choose to take it.
11th play of this drive. Tipped and intercepted by Jared Johnson. In that 1997 draft, there were 8 receivers that were chosen ahead of him that year. They give it to Rice, and another huge gain all the way to the 38-yard line.
This is the way they use Ray Rice. They'll motion him out of the backfield. Here they've got him over here in the bunch part of the formation. They've got him all the way over in here. And now they're just going to fake up into the line, bring him back around with LaRon McClain leading out ahead. Watch him bust through a couple tackles right here. A couple arm tackles. You're not going to arm tackle Ray Rice. He's too powerful. He's too low to the ground.
28-yard carry for Rice. Flacco on first down, and again he finds Derek Mason, and that's a gain of 12 as he's run out of bounds. There's a penalty flag where the tackle was made on the far side, and also a flag in the backfield. So a pair of infractions apparently here.
There were fouls against both teams. Holding, number 64 offense. Personal foul, face mask, number 33 defense. Penalties offset. Replay first down.
You know, so much is made about everybody getting to their job, and boy, for this officiating crew, it was amazing. Some of the stories, even this morning, some getting in on flights that were able to arrive in Baltimore. For many, going from San Francisco to New York, getting on a train coming down, getting into Raleigh, Durham, and driving 15 hours to make it to the game. So kudos to this officiating crew.
I talked to Bill Levy before the game. I said, you're in a foul mood, aren't you? I'm not sure I'd want you to officiate my game.
Well, they didn't like you anyway, did they?
No, they love me.
Offsetting penalties. Flacco on first down. Wide open is Heath. Did he get it? No. Yes, he did. It looked like for a minute the official was waving it off, and then said it is a catch by Heap at the 19.
You're going to see the athleticism of Todd Heap. He's going to cross the field all the way from right here and runs a simple out route. Now again, great hand and control. The key is, did he have control? No challenge, so obviously it holds.
Well, I got to tell you, it was very smart what Baltimore just did. They did not huddle up. They got right to the line of scrimmage.
I think we got a good view of it here. The key is, as we always say, do you have control all the way to the end? No, bobbled a little bit. They did a nice job getting the play off because I believe on a challenge that would have been overruled.
See,
nice
to me,
job by the Ravens.
Brian, to me, that is a team that is extremely aware of what is going on around them.
With a second-year quarterback,
it's amazing.
Presence of mind to do that.
It was amazing. They did not huddle up knowing there was a chance it could be reviewed. And they got the snap off, which, of course, would not allow that to happen. So you give a lot of credit to Flacco and that Raven offense to get to the line of scrimmage and get the play off.
And when you talk to coaches, the thing that comes up most about Joe Flacco is how cool he is, how calm under pressure. You can coach that, you can try to orchestrate it, but it takes someone under center. Here, Cam Cameron obviously has done a great job with Joe Flacco to get him to understand you need to know what situation you're in.
First and goal. Again, it's Todd Heap, and again, it's a touchdown. Forte on first down, cuts it back to the inside out to the 31. Let's go back to the second interception today thrown by Cutler.
This is what I was talking about. You look at Jared Johnson here. Play fake at him, obviously responsibility for holding the edge, recognizes what's going on, and then watch. Has the intelligence and the athleticism to jump up, to knock the ball down and get himself an interception. Leads to the touchdown. Obviously the play fake we talked about out of the unbalanced set to the corner route to Todd Heap.
Again, it's Forte, and again, it's Jared Johnson making a play. All right, as a former play caller, if you're Chicago, you're trailing 14-0, but you're still in the first quarter, nearly 3 full quarters to play in this game. Do you have a tendency to get away from the running game?
You do, and you've got to stay with your original game plan. They've been spreading them out all day, but they do need to run the ball. It's only a 2-score differential, and you've actually moved the ball pretty well.
Roma should do, and that is a first down catch out to the 37-yard line. Cutler. Nothing but running room ahead and slides for a first down to the 35.
Again, nice job by Cutler moving around the pocket. The rush all coming upfield. Man coverage down the field, and you love that as a quarterback because if you can get up past that rush, that means the only guy that doesn't have a man on him is me. Nice job converting on a first down. Again, a pretty nice drive by the Chicago Bears.
Yep, 10th play of the drive, spanning 39 yards. And they give it to first down to Matt Forte, and he is thrown to the deck for a gain of a yard.
You know, Matt Forte had a great rookie year. Actually very effective coming out of the backfield, 60+ receptions last year. Still on that same pace, just hasn't been able to find a rhythm in the running game this year. Chicago in a check mode. They've got to adapt to whatever the Ravens are giving them, run and pass.
Cutler again just steps up and slides for close to another first down right at the 25-yard line.
Well, the Baltimore Ravens now, again, you're just going to see upfield rush. Everybody's upfield. Someone at some point is going to have to stay home, or you're going to have to start pinching the interior of the line in order to account for Jay Cutler. That's 2 big plays now. He's been able to step up behind the rush and get positive yards.
Forte, good running room, and close to yet another Chicago first down at the 15. Kelly Talavu tripped him up, but not before. A gain of nearly 10. It is a gain of 10.
Now this is where it tests the mentality of the quarterback. You made a mistake down here before. Do you have the mental strength to fight through it? They're going to a no huddle. Again, Chicago does this to try to minimize the multiple packages of the Baltimore Ravens.
Forte looking for a hold. Avoids a couple of tackles, breaks it the other way, cuts it back to the inside. The ball is loose, and Aromashadu able to cover it up inside the 10, down at the 9-yard line.
This is just a great job by Matt Forte. You're going to see him. Forte is going to end up as he comes to the outside. Everything shut off to the strong side. It is completely wadded up here. I guarantee you this play was not designed to get back to the outside. The defense had collapsed to the ball, just what you want, and allowed him to get outside the perimeter of the defense.
Gain of 7, second down and 3. Khalil Bell checks into the backfield for Chicago and gets the first down or very close to it. And depending on the spot of the football, he might be about a half a yard short.
Well, we've already seen from Lovie Smith, he's already gone for it on 1 4th down. If they don't get it here, I would expect much the same, particularly down 2 scores early in this game.
It is 3rd down and inches, and Bell stays in the backfield in the I formation with Jason McKee in front of him. First down inside the 5 to the 4-yard line. Greg was there on the tackle, but Bell a first down, and it's 1st and goal for Chicago.
This is a nice job by Bell. When you try to go horizontal against this very athletic and very fast Raven defense, particularly with Ray Lewis, who's the best there has ever played at this game, moving horizontally and filling to the outside, that's a good job by the young man Bell.
Bell will get it again. Picks up a couple of tough yards. 2nd and goal. So standing and waiting at midfield is Bennett. And he'll feed it at the 49-yard line with some running room. Inside the 20. All the way down to the 5 and into the end zone is Earl Bennett. A punt return for a touchdown of 47 yards. And just like that, the Bears are 1 score away from tying this thing up.
Nice explosion by Bennett. When you're kicking out of the shadow of your own goal line, you're trying to get as much air as you can. Coverage gets by him a little bit, and then just some explosion speed, some poor open field tackling. Great job. Now you're going to see, does this give you the emotional lift? I'm going to be very interested in seeing how the Chicago Bears, and right now, a way for John Harbaugh to challenge his team.
And so many were so excited about what they were seeing from the man, Chris Henry. Ravens with the football, leading 14-7, and on first down, a short pickup on the throw to Ray Rice.
Well, Ray Rice leads this team in receptions, and part of the reason the increased completion percentage by Joe Flacco has been that anytime you can dump the ball off to Ray Rice. I don't know that it's a good thing that your running back leads your team in receiving. You probably need more of that presence down the field, but it shows you the 1-2 threat that Ray Rice gives you and why he's 2nd in the league in yards from scrimmage.
Second only to Chris Johnson, who, by the way, had his 9th consecutive 100-yard rushing game earlier today. There's Todd Heap, and he's close to midfield. 3rd down and 3 coming up for Baltimore. Closing in on 4.5 to play until halftime.
Well, Todd Heap has been a big weapon, not as much as in years past, but he has increasingly been more of a weapon for Joe Flacco. And Todd Heap here, this has been the trouble for Todd Heap, is he's had a series of injuries over his career, and it's been tough staying on the field on a regular basis.
He injured his ankle, had to leave the game against Detroit last week. 3rd down and 2. Flacco out of the shotgun. Crossing route, catch made down to the 40-yard line by Demetrius Williams. Just his 4th catch of the year, and 2 of those came last week against the Lions.
The Baltimore Ravens are desperately in need of a big play, number one go-to guy at wide receiver. Here they're breaking out very quickly into their version of the Wildcat.
Bringing in Troy Smith, the backup quarterback with Flacco. Flacco flanked to the far side of the field. Smith, the former Heisman Trophy winner out of Ohio State, with a nice carry. A gain of 9 for Smith, who had a rushing touchdown. With Troy Smith in the game. Play fake. Flacco throws to the far side. A wide open receiver is Derek Mason. And that's a first down to the 17. He faked it to the back. He faked the end around to Williams and hooks up with Mason.
We've seen this reverse earlier with the Ray Rice. So here, Derek Mason, no, just buy time. Buy time. Let the fake happen. Now late in the route, I've got to beat the guy one-on-one, counting on the fake to pull coverage out from underneath.
Troy Smith right back in there. Flacco this time flanked to the right. Smith breaks a tackle and lunges forward to the 15-yard line. He picks up a couple of yards.
And this can be an effective series or effective combination for Cam Cameron and the Baltimore Ravens. Inside the red zone, we've said it many times, things get compressed. And the ability to run the ball, the quarterback, again, in a running play is basically useless if all he's doing is handing off the ball. You add another weapon when you do this, particularly down in the red zone. Now they're back to a normal formation alignment.
Although they bring in an extra lineman.
Yes, they do. They've been doing that for a little bit here. A little bit extra. Chris Chester, a good athlete, in at the extra tight end position.
Short drop, pump fake. Down to the end zone to Mason. Out of bounds. Good coverage by Charles Tillman. Tillman's been a real good player since being drafted in the second round in 2003 out of Louisiana Lafayette.
All about timing there. Nice job. It's can I get it up and out of my hand quick enough? They're just that half a step late on the throw, not allowing Derek Mason enough time or space on the field to get his second foot down.
Flacco a hit on 8 in a row until that incompletion. 1 second away from a 2-minute warning. It's a third down and 9. Blitz coming. Flacco steps up, looking around. He'll keep it. And runs out of bounds at the 12-yard line. When you see plays like that from Forte and Cutler.
Well, we already talked about Joe Flacco making a heads-up play to save a challenge early in the game.
Short completion to Rice, and he's out to the 47-yard line. Clock down to 1:10, continuing to run.
Their objective here is about 15, 20 yards, probably full 20, to get themselves in field goal position, see if they can salvage the earlier missed field goal.
Blitz coming. Heat, first down catch, steps out of bounds at the 45.
You know, and this is part of the development for Joe Flacco as well. We talk about the Chicago Bears getting something out of these last 3 games. Again, Joe Flacco is only in his second year. This is valuable time for Joe Flacco. A 2-minute offense, working the clock. How many timeouts do I have? What's the priority? Because this will pay dividends as they get into that playoffs.
Ravens coming into play at 7-6. Again, lay it off for Rice, and he will sprint to the sideline and couldn't get out of bounds. Clock will continue to roll. The Ravens say timeout. Kick on a field goal try by Billy Cundiff. So only a 7-point game as this second half is underway. Flacco throws on first down, and another catch for Derek Mason. Talk about Mason already getting to 850 in his career. He came in 98 yards shy of 11,000 of those in his 13 years. And he only needs 159 yards from now and over the last 3 games, 2.5 games now, for his 8th 1,000 1,000-yard receiving season.
And I promise you, I've never worked with a player that worked any harder than Derek Mason, the unbelievable professional.
Rice on first down. Tackled right at midfield by Tommy Harris. Also in on the stop, Lance Briggs.
And there's still some probing going on here. Joe Flacco, you've already seen a couple quick play action fakes with throws in behind. Got a guy down here, Ogunlier. Right here at the top. Brings himself down. No, I'm sorry, I missed him. He's right here. Coming down in. Looks like he just kind of gets whipped in. You see a bodies and the legs flipping up under one another right there. Looks like he maybe just got caught in the shins. Hopefully it's just that, not an angle.
So 2nd down and 7 just underway to begin this second half. And Rice looking for running room and none there. Nick Roach dropped him for a 3-yard loss. So the 3rd and long upcoming for the Ravens.
The Ravens have been a very good 3rd down team, mostly because they've been kept it to a very manageable 3rd down. This obviously stretches you a little bit more, but they're in the top 10 in the league in 3rd down conversions. Obviously with the growth and maturity of Joe Flacco, a big part of it.
They're showing blitz. They drop back into coverage and rush 4 and lofted to the sideline. A reception is good enough for a first down to the 31-yard line made by Demetrius Williams, a gain of 20.
Demetrius Williams here again, just that deep outside route, corner route, a 7 route, drops it in, just giving enough time. Joe Flacco putting just the right arch on it. Outstanding throw.
The Ravens convert on the 3rd and long, and on the first down, Flacco to throw it, looking to the end zone. And what a catch made by Williams. It is a touchdown. Thrown into double coverage, and Demetrius Williams. And here they are again with Troy Smith out of the shotgun. And Flacco at the top of your screen, flanked to the right. They throw it to Flacco, and he'll throw it. Looking for heat. Defended beautifully by Kevin Payne.
Well, typically after a turnover, particularly in a plus territory of your opponent, you'll look for that big play, that turnaround, whether it's a deep 9 route on the outside there, some trickeration going out of their version of the Wildcat, getting it to Smith, and then the double pass to Joe Flacco. Now you'll see them maybe settle down in here, get back into pounding the ball.
2nd down and 10, and Flacco out of the shotgun with Ray Rice standing right next to him. Danielle Manning coming up to make the tackle on Rice after a gain of a yard. Some pushing and shoving going on after the play. Alex Brown and Michael Orr.
I mentioned earlier, Tom, I love that Joe Flacco, if I'm the Baltimore Ravens and John Harbaugh, that Joe Flacco's being put in these situations. After 2 years, you may be thinking, well, what the heck? I mean, the guy's been playing long enough. You can't put a young quarterback in enough of these types of situations in the red zone, 3rd and long. How are you going to produce?
There's your answer. Mason to the 18, and that's a first down.
Nice job, Flacco, getting borne down on with the pressure. Watch the cool and the calm of this guy. A free runner coming right at him, never lost focus. Beautiful pass into Derek Mason for the first down.
And hurry up mode for Flacco and the Ravens. Give it to Rice. Going after a couple of big runs on the first 2 possessions for Baltimore. Chicago has really slowed Rice, at least in the running game, down.
Well, they knew that both clubs were going to want to run the ball coming in. And because of that, they've built that 8-man front to limit a guy like Rice. But that's what allowed Joe Flacco to make some throws in behind that 8-man front, because the coverage is now one-on-one on the outside. You got a veteran like Derek Mason. We've seen 2 great throws to Demetrius Williams.
Play action. Flacco to the corner. Catch made. Touchdown, Derek Mason. To the 9. Their first offensive play from scrimmage in the second half. Play fake to Forte. They throw it to him. I want to go back to that route tree because I think a lot of fans will be very interested in seeing this, Coach. You say every team uses this. Let's stop it right there.
Well, this route tree, again, it's been from high school football up. Everybody runs the same route tree. You can see odd numbers routes to the outside, in this instance to the left, even numbers to the right or inside, with the 9 route being vertical. And everybody uses this same route tree. They may call a little subtly different in terms of the terms, but the route numbers are the same, I promise you.
Very interesting. Forte lost the ball. Is this the 4th Chicago turnover of the game?
Well, had some injuries on the back end, and this young rookie stepping up has been a bit of a salvation for them.
Fabian Washington injured. Samari rolled out for the year.
Okay.
Let's see if we can pick up the injury a moment ago to Webb. There he is, 21.
Yeah, anytime you get tied up on a special teams play like this, and he just came down on it wrong. How many times have we seen that? Not really tied up with the player, gets up in the air and comes down in just a subtle tweak. Hopefully it's just a tweak of an ankle, possibly in the end nothing more serious than that.
Yeah, Chicago's done a pretty doggone good job, as we brought up earlier, in shutting down this Baltimore running game since the first quarter.
Yeah, and they're a defense capable of that. We talked about last week when we had Chicago that Lovie Smith, who has taken over the play calling duties as the defensive coordinator per se all season long, they've had to deal with a number of injuries. They're a solid defense, but the combination with no running game has been a terrible 1-2 punch all year long for the Chicago Bears.
3rd down, and it's Derek Mason again. Across midfield, a 1st down for Baltimore.
You know, a lot's been made of the fact that the Baltimore Ravens have not been the running team they were last year. You can see last year, you can define who you are on 1st down. You look at what a team does on 1st down. Here you can see last year, taking care of the rookie quarterback, 70% run. That's all well and good, but that 50-50 ratio they've got going this year is a much healthier profile going down the way. The ability to throw the ball and run it as good as they were last year. The 50-50 profile they have right now on 1st down is a good profile.
Rice for a yard. His last 10 carries, only 19 yards for Rice after getting 77 yards on his first 6 carries. All right, the playoff picture. It's a huge game going on right now between San Diego and Cincinnati. Basically, the number 2 seed is on the line in that game. And, of course, the Bengals trying to play through the sadness of losing teammate Chris Henry earlier in the week, and then travel all the way to San Diego to battle a very good and very hot Charger team. Rice out of the backfield of the 42. So those were your division leaders. And we say thank you to those serving this great country of ours. 31-7. And Khalil Bell on 1st down for a yard. Very, very quiet for Chicago. Had a couple of decent drives that ended on interceptions in the opening half. Their only touchdown came on a punt return of 49 yards by Earl Bennett. And I'm sure so many in Chicago, Brian Billick, are wondering about that man, Jay Cutler. On 1st down, he fires a strike to Bennett. One Vanderbilt Commodore to another out to the 33. You know, you invest 2 first-round draft choices, a 3rd-round draft choice, a starting quarterback in Kyle Orton, $20 million in guaranteed money. Forget the rest of the salary. That $20 million is guaranteed, of Tim Tebow.
I'm looking forward to that. New Year's Day, a bowl game, can't get any better than that.
Willis McGahee for a yard.
Well, not much of a comparison here. The young Joe Flacco obviously has had things his way in terms of the short field, the turnovers. But Jay Cutler, all the things you alluded to, Tom, this organization, though, I've got to tell you, in watching them and listening to them all week long, has bigger issues beyond Jay Cutler. There's a lot of things going on. The support from management, the comments have been made about Lovie Smith. Yes, he's coming back, but the commitment to the direction they're going, that's a concern.
Ball is loose. Finally, he is picked up. And running out of bounds is Willis McGahee. So he alertly able to find that football on the fumble by Flacco.
Flacco gets back in the pocket and looks like all of a sudden it's just getting it stripped. The ball gets knocked out. Nice pressure on the outside. And then it's just a mad scramble to come up with it. Willis McGahee. At that point, you love him picking up and going. As a coach, you're saying, just get on it. Just secure the ball. We got things going our way. But Willis McGahee salvaging the turnover there for the Ravens.
Third down and 19. Flacco to McGahee out of the backfield. And he's back to the original line of scrimmage.
This is their last home game. They want to take every minute of it in.
Incomplete on the first down throw to McGahee. Some of the late afternoon games underway. We told you about San Diego in front of Cincinnati 24-13. Denver in a tight one, leading by 3 over Oakland. Boy, look at Seattle. At home, trailing Tampa Bay 21-7. Told you about the Steelers leading Green Bay, and Philadelphia, a 7-point lead. That game in Philly, along with this game, the start times moved back because of all of the snow along the eastern seaboard. Of course, one of the big stories around the league during this week, Brian Billick, was Mike Holmgren saying no to the possibility of returning to the Seattle Seahawks after meeting for better than 2 days with Mr. Lerner, the owner of the Cleveland Browns.
Well, I can't remember a year where there was so much going on, and yet you still have coaches in place. It's a little concerning as a coach when you see this kind of movement going on. But Mike Holmgren clearly showing expressing an interest to get back into the league, at least at the administrative level.
And yeah, that's right. In fairness to Holmgren, he is not looking for somebody's job as a coach.
Correct. But you look at the situation in Washington, same thing now. I'm disturbed by, as a coach, to hear.
Leading 31-7. Bears on first down. We'll hand it off to Forte and a gain of 9.
You know, a lot's been made of the changing profile of the Baltimore Ravens defense, and that they're not pressuring as much. As you can see here, Rex Ryan did a great job. He's doing a phenomenal job in New York. But Greg Matson's doing a great job here. Yeah, they're not pressuring quite as much, but it's not as dramatic as a lot of people want to make out. And he's dealing with a back end that's a little more vulnerable. Injuries and the like. He's got to make sure he does not leave them vulnerable. I think he's done a great job.
Forte denied first down yardage, lost a couple of yards on 2nd and 1. You know, Madison last year, his first year in the NFL, serving as the linebackers coach after 32 years on the collegiate level, the final 10 as a co-defensive coordinator at the University of Florida under Urban Meyer. He coached under Jack Harbaugh, John's father, at Western Michigan in the early 1980s. Clearly made an impression on John Harbaugh. Throw to the sideline. And incomplete. He had an eye on Aroma-Shadu. About the Chicago Bears franchise and organization. Initially starting with Jay Cutler. And the problems that Cutler has had his first season. Moving across the wires right now. Apparently comments made by Jerry Angelo, the general manager of the Chicago Bears, earlier today. He was quoted as saying, at the end of the year, we sit down, we talk, referring to he and Lovie Smith. It's not about money. It's about doing what we feel we need to do better to be a better football team. So while there was one report out of Chicago yesterday that regardless of what happens as far as the outcome is concerned over these final 3 games with the Bears, that Lovie Smith's job was quote-unquote safe. Now all of a sudden, if those quotes indeed are accurate, and those are quotes, and they are moving across the wires as we speak, where you have the general manager who is basically not committing one way or another to having a guy who's under contract back next year.
And that's understandable. That's the standard line that you're going to get to the end of the year and evaluate things. But there are comments coming out of Chicago. The issues for the Chicago Bears go beyond Jay Cutler. You've got your number 1 player, Brian Urlacher, saying he doesn't like the personality of the team. You got the general manager saying we have the talent good enough to go to the playoffs.
Flacco sacked back at the 15.
That's just not a healthy atmosphere to be in. Basically, the general manager is saying, you know what, our talent's good enough, so it must be the coaching. The number 1 player says, I don't like our personality. Those things are going to have to be brought under control, and it's going to have to be organizationally and done with a partnership, not from a standpoint of pointing fingers saying, well, it's this guy or it's that guy. And that's what the Chicago Bears are going to have to address when they sit down and have these conversations.
Loss of 11 on a sack, 2nd down and 21. McGahee for a yard.
Now let me tell you what the coaches are looking for in this instance. I'm talking about John Harbaugh. You're sitting here, we got 8:50 left in the game. Clearly the game in hand. You got a team heading to the playoffs, if I can finish out. You got the Pittsburgh Steelers on the horizon. Right now it's about how do we finish? Do we all of a sudden start having penalties? Do we have balls bouncing in? You want to look good to finish out. You want to keep that momentum, show that you can be that kind of team. So there are priorities finishing out this game for the Baltimore Ravens, and I know that's what head coach John Harbaugh wants to see.
3rd and 20. One-handed catch made by McGahee. And then he's dropped it to 21, so the Ravens will punt. He's got the Ravens lid on. It's pretty nice. An early Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays to all of you. Of course, Christmas Day will come our way, Coach Billick, before we convene again next Sunday in Green Bay, Wisconsin.
We get to warm up in Green Bay, right?
Oh,
we
yeah.
Go right from this to Green Bay. And we got to give a shout out again to Roy Summerhoff, who's the director of operations here at the stadium. Just a phenomenal job, they and the city, in terms of getting the fans here an enjoyable experience. Not an easy thing to do. A lot of people working long hours. I'm sure Roy hadn't been to bed in 2 days. They did a great job staging this game.
Well, I tell you what, a lot of members of our crew certainly deserve a tip of the hat. I mean, we had some of the members of our crew each and every week that, like many of you, I'm sure, watching, stranded one place or another and spent the night at an airport, traveling all night, landing one place, driving 12, 14 hours. We thank them very, very much for doing so. And you know what? A woman who works with us every single week back at Fox Travel, Paige Mullins.
Oh, boy.
Working around the clock to make sure that these guys could get put on another flight, wait and stand by, and we thank her and all the folks in travel. I mean, a lot of people working a lot of hours, and they'd rather be home during the holidays with their family. Dominique Foxworth on the 3rd interception of the game by Cutler.
It's Phil in the playoffs.
Now let's not get too far ahead of ourselves here as Troy Smith takes over for Flacco at quarterback. Brian, you know better than anybody, or as well as anybody, let's put it that way, The Steelers at home today. That is a huge win. It looks like they're on their way with a 10-point lead to keep their very dim playoff hopes alive, but alive nonetheless. And all of a sudden, next week, Flacco and company go to Pittsburgh to take on those Steelers. One of the great rivalries in the NFL. That first game could have gone either way. That's an overtime win for Baltimore.
Without Ben Roethlisberger, who obviously will play this game in Pittsburgh. You're absolutely right. So that's going to be quite a battle for these Ravens. I think they're up to the task.
Smith throws and batted down by Zachary Bowman. Give you the final numbers today on Joe Flacco. Career high 4 touchdowns. He had not thrown more than 1 touchdown in a game since the Minnesota game. That was back in week 6.
Well, he gets a critique from his dad every week, and his dad's going to have a lot of good things to say today. This is an impressive young man. I think this team is going through the transformation of being a defensive-dominated, a Ray Lewis-dominated team. This is becoming Joe Flacco's team.
Troy Smith carries out across the 35. We're under 6 minutes to go. Caleb Haney, second-year quarterback out of Colorado State, comes on to replace Cutler and throws complete to Johnny Knox. Haney played only in 1 game, and that was a blowout loss for the Bears on the road at Cincinnati. That was really the game that I think a lot of people saw perhaps a change in the perception of the Chicago Bears. Where they went on the road after getting off to a good start, they went on the road and were completely humiliated by the Bengals in Cincinnati. They were behind 31-0 with 2 minutes to play in the first half, and that one is intercepted by Frank Walker. The Raiders giving Denver all at once today. Throw and a catch. Let's send it to Los Angeles to Kurt Menefee for a game break. Kurt.
Brian mentioned Ravens and Steelers next week. Today, Pittsburgh taking on Green Bay, and that's Jermichael Finley with a sweet catch from Aaron Rodgers. And it's a close game in the fourth quarter, 24-21. Steelers trying to end that 5-game losing streak. Green Bay trying to win their 6th in a row. Tom and Brian.
Second down and a yard. So Green Bay still very much in that one. Now trailing by 3. They hand it off to LaRon McClain. You know, McClain's a guy who deserves a lot of credit. I mean, you talk about in a day and age where there seems to be so much selfishness by players in any sport. McClain, a guy a year ago, went to the Pro Bowl. He carried the ball 232 times for over 900 yards and 10 touchdowns. He has carried the ball this year 36 times and not a peep out of it.
No, and has come back in that role, and that's what you have to have when you're a good team is role players. Again, with the emergence of Ray Rice, you still have McGahee. You're exactly right. A great role player for this Baltimore Ravens team.
On 3rd and a yard, Smith close to a first down. It's the main man, Santa Claus. Troy Smith throwing the ball, and it is intercepted by Zachary Bowman.
Yeah, just a little surprised by that, but, you know, taking a shot to the end zone. I guess maybe they're trying to get Troy Smith some playing time.
Yeah, he's had very little playing time. He's only thrown 5 passes all year. I mean, they're having to get some of the fans away from our broadcast booth. We are right here, right in front of them. on the second level. And Brian Billick, I mean, they're all coming to see you. You are still an enormously popular guy here in Baltimore.
Yeah, I'd have felt better if it weren't just the group that's been drinking all day. Those are my guys. But, you know, the people here, and I still live in the area. They've been incredibly gracious. Love coming. I've really enjoyed coming back to the stadium.
Khalil Bell on a carry out to the 40. Well, I mean, all these people coming up, and you know, they've never had a chance to probably see you, Brian. I mean, up this close. And, you know, a lot of them have come up to you and said thanks for the Super Bowl. I mean, you know, you were obviously a guy who's around town. You do a lot of charity work. You give a lot of your time during your days as a coach of the Ravens. But there were a lot of people that never had a chance to probably say thank you. And we have had literally dozens of those that have come just in front of our broadcast booth here today.
Well, it's very much appreciated, I tell you. And, you know, when I came here and didn't fully appreciate the absence of football here for 13 years, and that was hard on the fans. And then the Super Bowl was a great thing to be able to experience and bring to the city. And it is. It's a great area. I'm a West Coast guy, but we're retired here. This is my home now. I'm not going anyplace. We've loved it. We love living here. My family and I are very appreciative for the generosity of the fans.
All right, we talked about the Ravens. And by winning out, the Ravens are in the playoffs. I mean, there's no magic to all this anymore. Go to Pittsburgh, big game. Next week, great rivalry. Great game between those two teams earlier this year. An overtime win for the Ravens. And again, Pittsburgh without Ben Roethlisberger. And then you go on the road to Oakland. And as you point out, that has been a nightmarish trip for division rivals of the Ravens so far this year.
It's a great opportunity for the Ravens, though, in two games that obviously mean a lot, to keep that rhythm. We keep everybody talking about, well, do you play your guys or not, and how does that affect it? This can be a good formula for the Ravens going forward.
Our game produced today by Bob Stenner, directed by Rich Dewey, our associate director Charles McDonald, our broadcast associate Bill Cullen, and our technical producer Bob Muller. And again, we thank our entire crew, so many who traveled so many hours. In some cases, better than 24 hours on what routinely would be
to put on a game like this, particularly under those circumstances. Great kudos to the Baltimore Ravens and the city of Baltimore.
So the Ravens go to 8-6, 2 wins away from a guaranteed spot in the playoffs. We'll talk more about that when we come back. 31-7 our final today.